Hello and welcome to Ancient Myths of the Current Era, a series where I dive deep into the mythology behind one of the greatest MOBAs of all time, known as Smite. This series will hopefully give you a better idea of who's who in the wide selection of gods and goddesses available in the world of Smite. In today's video, we are going to talk about Loki, so let's get started.
Easy go.
Loki is described in the many stories about him as a shapeshifter and a trickster god. He is a god and a Jotun, and in many cases is referred to as either or. His most common forms of shapeshifting are in the form of salmon, a mare, a fly, and an elderly woman named Thok, which means thanks in Old Norse. Interesting, is it not? Loki is married to the goddess Sigyn, with which he has a son named Narfi. Loki also has 3 children with a Jotun named Angerboda. These children are the goddess Hel, the wolf Fenrir, and the serpent Jormungandr. He also has another son, Sleipnir, with the stallion Svavilfari. Loki's parents are Farbauti, his Jotun father, and Laufey, his weak and frail mother. Not a strong male, as Marvel would have you believe. He also has 2 brothers named Helbindi and Belister. So, let's start this thing off right by talking about how Loki, a male god and Jotun, gave birth to a creature named Sleipnir. After the gods established the realm of Midgard, they wanted to build a fortification to keep out invaders. The gods offered an unnamed builder who offered to build such a fortification, the goddess associated with love, sex, beauty, all that stuff, Freya, as well as the sun and the moon in return. There was some debate on the matter, but the gods eventually agreed to do it with some restrictions on the builder. The first restriction was that he had to build the entire fortification within 3 seasons. On top of this, he was not allowed to have the help of any man, just himself. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't build an entire fortification in 3 seasons with help, let alone without it. The builder makes a single request in the face of all these odds stacked against him. The builder makes the request that he be allowed to have help from his trusted stallion, Svavilfari. I mean, it's just a horse after all. Not like it will make much of a difference, right? With Loki's influence, the gods agreed to this condition, but soon regretted their decision. The stallion performed twice as well as the builder, hauling humongous rocks. The builder was making fast progress towards completing the wall, and 3 days prior to his deadline, which was summer, the builder was already at the gate of the fortification. The gods could not let the builder win, and all of them turned towards Loki because they blamed him for the entire incident. The gods told Loki if he didn't fix the situation, they would kill him. So desperate Loki came up with a scheme. He disguised himself as a mare in estrus, which essentially means it's time for Mama and Dada to lock the doors and for the kids to go to bed. Loki neighed at Svavilfari, who chased after Loki into the woods. The builder follows after both of them, and the previous momentum that the builder had was gone. The Aesir then found out that the builder was a Jotun and called for Thor. Thor beat the builder's skull in with Mjolnir, and Loki eventually gave birth, after getting it down with Svavalfari in the woods, to an 8-legged grey fowl named Sleipnir. The horse became known as the best horse among gods and men, and that is how a male god and Jotun gave birth to a horse. In another story, Loki engineered the murder of the unharmable man by his own brother. You see, Balder dreamed of his own death, and his mother had the same dreams. Dreams were considered prophetic and were destined to come true. In order to protect her son, Frigg, Odin's wife, made every object in every realm vow never to hurt Balder. The only object that did not make such a vow to never hurt Balder was the mistletoe. Frigg thought it too young, unimportant, and insignificant to vow not to harm her son. But she soon realized her mistake. Loki soon heard of Balder's one weakness and crafted a magical spear out of the mistletoe. He brought his spear to the place where people had gathered to throw objects at Balder, only to watch them bounce harmlessly off of him. Loki gave the spear that he had crafted out of the mistletoe to Balder's blind brother, Hrólfr. Hrólfr threw it and accidentally killed his own brother. Odin had Hrólfr killed for his crime against his own brother. Upon Frigg's request, Hel promised to release Balder from the underworld if all objects alive and dead wept for him. All of them did except a giantess named Thok, who refused to weep and was thought to be Loki in disguise. While Loki got away with his crime for the time being, it soon came back to bite him in the ass. When the gods were throwing a feast in Aegir's home, Loki barges in and demands a seat at the table. He begins by insulting everyone sitting there, and when refused a seat at the feast, he disrespectfully implores Odin to remember the vow he had made. Odin once made a blood pact with Loki, and after doing so, swore that Odin would never drink ale unless it was given to both Odin and Loki. Odin has his son, Vidar, pour him a drink and offer a seat to Loki. Loki continues insulting the gods, so after the hiss continues for a while, Thor arrived and threatened Loki. Loki called them empty threats and soon walked out of the hall and disguised himself as a salmon and hid among waterfalls. The gods soon caught him and bound him to rocks with the entrails of his son. Skavi, one of the targets of his insults, fastened a venomous snake over Loki's head, which dripped venom. Loki's wife, Sigyn, sat by him collecting the venom in a basin, but when it got full, she would have to leave to empty it. During this short time period, the venom would drip on top of Loki, and he would shake violently, causing earthquakes. These earthquakes, caused by his violent shakes, eventually lead to his release. At the beginning of Ragnarok, the end of the world. When he leads the Jotun into battle against those who would seek to detain him, he will fight Heimdallr, and they will both slay each other at Ragnarok.